तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् काशीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्रार्थ पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक तत्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो हरिध्वांतो गीतादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवश्यक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते नमोस्तुते अनेक बंधो मत्संगिन मद्गुरो मन्महाधन अन्निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधुता दायि नतनी चौच्छता कर आनमंच गदा चिन्मां प्रेमना कृतकंठयोस्पुरा ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Actually 1.3.10 I'm going to start today. One day is gone. 10. पंचमः कपिलो नाम सिद्धेशः कालविप्लुप्तं प्रोवाचासु रये सांख्यं तत्त्वग्राम विनिर्णयम्. The fifth incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost. So this is about the incarnation of Kapila Muni. Asuri is the name of a Brahmana. Sankhya refers to that scripture which is an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics. The sum total of the creative elements is 24 in all. We will come across this in the second canto and third canto. Each and every one of them is explicitly explained in the system of Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy is generally called metaphysics by the European scholars. The etymological meaning of Sankhya is that which explains very lucidly by analysis of the material elements. This was done for the first time by Lord Kapila, who is said herein to be the fifth in the line of incarnations. Now, of course, we should note that this is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. This is not the atheist Kapila. Madhvacharya quotes from Padma Purana. Kapilo Vasudevakhyas Tantram Sankhya Jagadaha. That Kapila, who was actually Vasudeva, Lord Vasudeva, he spoke the system of philosophy known as Sankhya. Brahmadibhyascha devebhyo bhrigvadibhyas taivacha. He taught this to Brahma and other devas. And he taught this to sages such as Bhrigamuni. Tathaivasu raye sarva vedarthair upabrahmitam. Sarva veda okay. And he also taught this to the Brahmana named Asuri. And what he taught was enriched with the purport of all the Vedas. Sarva Veda viruddham cha kapilonyo jagadaha sankhyamasura yenyas mai utarka paribrahmitam. Iti cha. It is also noted that there was another Kapila who spoke a Sankhya philosophy which is opposed to the teachings of all the Vedas, to another person named Asuri. And that teaching is simply based on bad reasoning. So what Lord Kapila taught was Vedanusari, Samkhya that follows the Vedas. 11. Shashtham matre rapatyatvam vritah prapto nasuyaya anvikshikim alarkaya prahladadibhya uchivan. The sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlada, and others, Yadu, Haihaya, etc. He himself accepted the sonhood of Atri Muni, because it will be stated, I think in the second canto, Atre Rapatyam Abhikankshita Ahatushta. The Lord was satisfied with Atri, who hankered for the Lord to become his son. How did he attain? He attained it without any envy. Anasuyaya here indicates that he had no envy towards anyone. Anvikshikim refers to spiritual subject. Anvikshikim. Anvikshiki sometimes refers to logic, but in this context it refers to Atmavidya, knowledge about self-realization. The Lord incarnated himself as Dattatreya, the son of Rishi Atri and Anasuya. The history of the birth of Dattatreya as an incarnation of the Lord is mentioned in the Brahmanda Purana in connection with the story of the devoted wife. There's a section in the Brahmanda Purana called Pativrata Upakhyana. So it comes there. It is said there that Anasuya, the wife of Rishi Atri, prayed before the Lords, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, as follows: My Lords, if you are pleased with me, and if you desire me to ask from you some sort of blessings, then I pray that you combine together to become my son. This was accepted by the Lords. And as Dattatreya, the Lord expounded the philosophy of the spirit soul and especially instructed Alarka, Prahlada, Yadu, Haihaya, etc. Well, Tata Saptama Akutyam Rucher Yagyobhya Jayata Sa Yamadhyai Suraganair Apad Swayam Bhuvantaram. The seventh incarnation was Yagya, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the reign of Swayambhu Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. Yama refers to demigods. There are demigods named Yamas. Notice the long A, Ya. So the idea is that Lord Yagya himself became Indra at that time, because Indra is the one who rules during each Manvantara. Then the government changes, then somebody else becomes Indra. He has another cabinet of Saptarishis and so on. 8th canto, we will see this. The administrative posts occupied by the demigods for maintaining the regulations of the material world are offered to the highly elevated, pious living beings. So the more one is selflessly affectionate to others, the more is considered pious. Paropakara punyaya. The more selfish we are, and we give pain to others, then the more sinful we are. Papaya parapidana. When there's a scarcity of such pious living beings, the Lord incarnates himself as Brahma, Prajapati, Indra, etc., and takes up the charge. This is a good thing, no? At least in the universal government, there is no concept of if you don't have the right person, there should be democracy or something like that. The Lord himself takes charge. During the period of Swayambhuva Manu, the present period is of Vaivasvata Manu. There was no suitable living being who could occupy the post of Indra, the king of the Indraloka heaven planet. The Lord himself at that time became Indra, assisted by his own sons like Yama and other demigods. Lord Yagya ruled the administration of the universal affairs. Yes.
Prabhuji, you said selflessly affectionate to others, the more he will be pious. So this is only material piety.
Yeah.
Then, but he will be affectionate only to in bodily terms.
Yes, but that's better than sinful. Piety is superior to impiety. Impiety means sinful activity. Sinful activity means you just want to be happy. You don't care for others.
So in this case, he wants to share his happiness or so-called sense gratification with others. Like it's still
he wants to. Yeah, he is interested in pleasing others and benefiting others in the material sense. That's pious. Krishna consciousness has to be executed on the background of piety. It cannot be executed on the background of impiety. That is tamasic bhakti yoga. Rajasic bhakti yoga is when it is executed on the basis of piety with the desire for material happiness. Okay. 13. Ashtame merudevyam tu nabherjata urukramaha darshayan varmadhiranam sarvashrama namaskritam. The eighth incarnation was King Rishabha, son of King Nabhi and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. Sarvashrama namaskritam refers to, it indicates that the sannyas order of life, or paramahamsya, the state of a paramahamsa, which is also the pathway of the dhiras, the sober persons. The perfect beings here are referred to as dhiras. So, Rishabhadev demonstrated that. The society of human beings is naturally divided into 8 by orders and statuses of life. The 4 divisions of occupation and 4 divisions of cultural advancement. The intelligent class, the administrative class, the productive class, and the laborer class are the 4 divisions of occupation. And the student life, the householder's life, retired life, and renounced life are the 4 statuses of cultural advancement towards the path of spiritual realization. Out of these, the renounced order of life or the order of sannyas is considered the highest of all, and a sannyasi is constitutionally the spiritual master for all the orders and divisions. In the sannyas order also, there are 4 stages of upliftment toward perfection. These stages are called Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajikacharya, and Paramahamsa. The Paramahamsa stage of life is the highest stage of perfection. This order of life is respected by all others. I have actually seen a Kutichaka sannyasi from the Ramanuja line. His daughter would bring him prasadam. He would not meet his wife. His former family lived, I think 1 or 2 buildings away. He was on the first floor of one. And that was like a mutt. But he was on the first floor of some building. Then Bahudaka means you move even further away. Then Parivrajaka means you actually travel. Paramahamsa means you sit in one place and you just absorbed in the highest stage of Krishna consciousness. This order of life is respected by all others. Maharaj Rishabha, the son of King Nabhi and Meru Devi, was an incarnation of the Lord, and he instructed his sons to follow the path of perfection by tapasya, which sanctifies one's existence and enables one to attain the stage of spiritual happiness, which is eternal and ever increasing. Every living being is searching after happiness. But no one knows where eternal and unlimited happiness is obtainable. Foolish men seek after material sense pleasure as a substitute for real happiness, but such foolish men forget that temporary so-called happiness derived from sense pleasures is also enjoyed by the dogs and hogs. No animal, bird, or beast is bereft of this sense pleasure. In every species of life, including the human form of life, such happiness is immensely obtainable. The human form of life, however, is not meant for such cheap happiness. Human life is meant for attaining eternal and unlimited happiness by spiritual realization. This spiritual realization is obtained by tapasya, or undergoing voluntarily the path of penance and abstinence from material pleasure. This itself is a paraphrase of the first verse that summarized Rishabhadev's teachings to his sons. He had 100 sons, and he trained them in Krishna consciousness. It would be nice if the householders also train their sons, daughters, etc. in Krishna consciousness, both in the theory and the practice. Those who have trained for abstinence in material pleasures are called dhira, or men undisturbed by the senses. Only these dhiras can accept the orders of sannyas, and they can gradually rise to the status of the Paramahamsa, which is adored by all members of society. Actually, Kshatriyas cannot directly accept sannyas. Kshatriyas by guna karma have to become Brahmanas by guna karma. And only after they become Brahmanas by guna karma, only then they can enter into a life of sannyas. That is why it is said dhira. First, one has to become a dhira. Unless one becomes a dhira, he is not qualified for sannyas. King Rishabha propagated this mission, and at the last stage, he became completely aloof from the material bodily needs, which is a rare stage, not to be imitated by foolish men, but to be worshipped by all. So, Sarvashrama Namaskritam indicates that you are meant to honor the Paramahamsa stage of life. You are not supposed to imitate it. What we call Babaji Vesh, acceptance of Goswami life. Let me put it like that. That is actually the procedure to enter into Paramahamsa stage of life. So it is not meant to be imitated by those who are not dhiras. 14. Rishibhir yachito bheje navamam parthivam vapuhu dugdhe mam oshadhir vipras tenayam sa ushattamaha. O Brahmanas, in the 9th incarnation, the Lord prayed for by the sages accepted the body of a king, Ritu, who cultivated the land to yield various products, and for that reason the earth was beautiful and attractive. So he accepted the body of a king in the form of Ritu. Instead of Parthivam, in some manuscripts we read Parthavam, which indicates that Ritu accepted this earth. Where is Oshadi? Products of the earth. So he cultivated the land to yield various products. Oshadhi literally refers to herbs, but in this context it refers to herbs and other products from the earth also. Tena Prithvi Dohanena Soyam Avatara Ushattama Kamaniyatama. And by extracting all these various products, this incarnation became very beautiful and attractive. Ayam can refer to Prithu Maharaj himself, this meaning this incarnation, or it can refer to this earth, this environment. Before the advent of King Prithu, there was great havoc of maladministration due to the vicious life of the previous king, the father of Maharaj Prithu. The intelligent class of men, namely the sages and the Brahmanas, not only prayed for the Lord to come down, but also dethrone the previous king. It is the duty of the king to be pious and thus look after the all-around welfare of the citizens. Whenever there is some negligence on the part of the king in discharging his duty, the intelligent class of men must dethrone him. The intelligent class of men, however, do not occupy the royal throne because they have much more important duties for the welfare of the public. What is this much more important duties? Much more important duties is they need to engage in sadhana, spiritual sadhana, by which they become moral and pure, with which they can make everybody else come to that mode of goodness. If I am not sufficiently in the mode of goodness, I cannot bring others to the same status of goodness. So therefore, and because the entire Kshatriya role involves having to some extent, you'll have to pamper the citizens. To some extent, you'll have to control them. It is like an extended family life. And all these citizens are like children. So when we do these kind of things, we also tend to become influenced by them. So those who are Brahmanas, by guna and karma, are naturally averse to doing these things. Because even if you want to execute paropakara, it should be paropakara that does not destroy your attempts to achieve swapakara. We want to do good to others as long as we are able to do good to ourselves also. Instead of occupying the royal throne, they prayed for the incarnation of the Lord, and the Lord came as Maharaj Prithu. Real intelligent men or qualified brahmanas never aspire for political posts. Maharaj Prithu excavated many products from the earth, and thus not only did citizens become happy to have such a good king, but the complete site of the earth also became beautiful and attractive. Rupam sajagrihe matsyam chakisho dadhi samplave avyaropya mahimayam apad vaivasvatam manu. When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivasvata Manu, keeping him up on a boat. Yes.
Hare Krishna, bro. Prabhuji, in last verse number 13, where sense control and abstinence from material pleasures was precised. So, what is the relation in this and chanting? Like by doing attentive and offenseless chanting, we reach this stage. How to relate the two with reference? Like if I want to say someone or if I want to tell my own self.
That what?
That
Chanting is one method by which we can become austere.
And sense control?
It's austerity also. It is itself an austerity.
And sense control, angle of sense.
That's why, we begin by routinizing our sensual activities. We put some boundaries initially and we routinize them. And then as we progress in Krishna consciousness, it will become easier and easier and easier to get rid of unnecessary sense objects. Like that. Over the days, weeks, months, years, decades. And if one is slow, lifetimes, gradually one becomes more and more renounced and detached. Internally detached, externally renounced. Both.
Like NOI.
Sorry, yes, nectar instruction.
Like,
that is Bhakti Yoga.
Starts with this control of the Vegas, but it doesn't start with chanting. So I was wondering that how to relate. That's why I asked.
No. You execute the 64 items of Bhakti Yoga. Okay. But you need to progress through the stages set out in Upadeshamrita. Panchanga Bhakti is taught right in the beginning. When we hear Adav Shraddha, Atha Sadhu Sangha, Atha Bhajana Kriya, and so on, unofficially, we are trained to accept Bhajana Kriya right in the beginning. But then initially, we may not have full faith in Bhajana Kriya. So the stage when we develop faith in Bhajana Kriya, that is called Shraddha. And then we surrender unto the lotus feet of bona fide spiritual masters. And then we come to the platform of Sadhu Sangha. Then initiation. Initiation is when we promise the Supreme Lord that I am going to fully surrender unto you. So then Bhajana Kriya becomes tangible, even more tangible. But then that stage is called Bhajana Kriya. But we execute devotion service even before that. If you look at the extended version, 14 items given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Satam Kripa Mahat Seva Shraddha Gurupadashre Janeshu Spriha Bhakti. The first stage is one attains the mercy of the great saintly authorities. Satam Kripa, Sadhunam Kripa, Sadhu Kripa. Then Mahat Seva, then we serve them. When we serve them, itself indicates that they will engage us in devotion service unto Lord Vishnu. Because the great saintly authorities want to propagate devotion service unto Lord Vishnu. In Guru Ashtaka also we see them. Vigraha Radhana Nityanana Shingara Tanmandira Marjanadau Yuktasya Bhaktamscha Niyunjataha Api. So all saintly authorities not only engage in devotion service to Lord Krishna, they also train others to do it. So that it's at that very stage we are engaged. Satam Kripa, then Mahat Seva, then Shraddha, then Guru Padashraya, then Bhajanesha Spriha, then we develop a hankering. Bhajanesha Spriha, then Bhakti. Then we come to the platform of Bhakti or Bhajana Kriya. Here it indicates that we engage in Bhajana Kriya on a routine basis. Prior to that, it might not have been on a routine basis. So that is the promise that we make. It's not that one may not have chanted the 16 rounds or more than 16 rounds before he receives initiation, but at the time of initiation, he is made to promise Hari Guru Vaishnavas that he will do it on a routine basis, on a systematic basis. He will avoid the offenses, he will avoid forbidden activities and so on. That is the whole point. Prior to that also one accepts it, but at that point onwards, one accepts the entire system of Bhakti Yoga. So Panchanga Bhakti, I might accept it from day one. And only after a few years, I may take initiation. But that point of initiation signifies that I'm now going to progress through, I agree to progress through Bhakti Yoga through the milestones that we see as the texts of Upadeshamrita. I thought Mohan Radhapati Prabhu had a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So as we read in the last verse about how before Prithu Maharaj, how Brahmanas they removed the Vena and because of his activities. So in the current context, we see like people questioning ISKCON devotees about the Bangladesh incidents, and also what are we like the Brahminical section of ISKCON, what we are supposed to do and how what we should personally do and how we are to answer the public in that context.
What is the public asking? What are we supposed to do? Create our own paramilitary force and go and attack. What are we supposed to do? So we can petition the government that you please allow these people to come to a safer place in India or somewhere else and let them practice devotion service to Lord Krishna and progress and become moral and spiritual and help others also do the same. This is like putting a bomb in Red Cross centers, You're just killing yourself. There are people who are trying to do good to themselves and others, and you're making it impossible. That's all. Sridhar Swami notes, even though at the end of a Manvantara, there is no pralaya, there is no devastation, still the Supreme Lord, just out of fun, he demonstrated something for Satyavrata, just as he did for Markandeya. Now, we will come across this a little later again. The Lord protected Vaivasvata, Manu. Strictly speaking, he was not yet Manu at that time. He was a king in the previous Manvantara, but he is going to become Vaivasvata Manu in the next Manvantara. According to Sripad Sridhar Swami, the original commentator on the Bhagavatam, there is not always a devastation after the change of every Manu. And yet, this inundation, after the period of Chakshusha Manu, took place in order to show some wonders to Satyavrata. But Sri Jiva Goswami has given definite proofs from authoritative scriptures like the Vishnu Dharmottara, Markandeya Purana, Harivamsha, etc., that there is always a devastation after the end of each and every Manu. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has also supported Srila Jiva Goswami, and he, Sri Chakravarti, has also quoted from the Bhagavatamrita about this inundation after each Manu. Bhagavatamrita refers to Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Apart from this, the Lord, in order to show special favor to Satyavrata, a devotee of the Lord, in this particular period, incarnated himself. Now, the point to be noted here is, in the Bhagavatam, in the 12th canto, you come across 4 types of annihilation: constant, occasional, material, and final. 1,000 cycles of 4 ages constitute 1 day of Brahma, and each day of Brahma, called a Kalpa, contains within it the lifetimes of 14 Manus. The duration of Brahma's night is the same as that of his day. During his night, Brahma sleeps, and the 3 planetary systems meet destruction. This is the Naimittika or occasional annihilation. When Brahma's lifespan of 100 years is finished, there occurs the Prakritika or total material annihilation. At that time, the 7 elements of material nature, beginning with the Mahat Tattva, and the entire universal egg composed of them, are destroyed. When a person achieves knowledge of the Absolute, he understands factual reality. He perceives the entire created universe as separate from the Absolute and therefore unreal. That is called the Atyantika or final annihilation, which is liberation for that individual. At every moment, time invisibly transforms the bodies of all created beings and all other manifestations of matter. This process of transformation causes the living entity to undergo constant annihilation of birth and death. Those possessed of subtle vision state that all creatures, including Brahma himself, are always subject to generation and annihilation. Material life means subjugation to birth and death, or generation and annihilation. The only boat suitable for crossing the ocean of material existence, which is otherwise impossible to cross, is the boat of submissive hearing of the nectarian pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That summarizes what Shukadeva Goswami states in this chapter. So there are only 4 types of annihilation enlisted in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sridhar Swami is a follower of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he does not recognize, he does not refer to the pralaya that happens at the end of every Manvantara as a devastation, because as a follower of, as a teacher of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is sticking to the Bhagavatam's list of 4 annihilations. But we should not misunderstand and think that therefore there is no other annihilation other than what Shukadeva Goswami has enlisted in the 12th canto. There are other ones, but they are not mentioned by Shukadeva Goswami for probably some very good reasons. It may not be destruction to that extent, or it may just be understood that when he's talking about annihilation at the end of every day of Brahma, then it may be, Shukadeva Goswami expects us to understand that there might be other interim devastations also. So therefore, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, they point out that at the end of every Manvantara, there are devastations also, even though it is not explicitly spelled out in Srimad Bhagavatam.
आ गए क्या प्रभु? मैसेज कर रहे हैं.
So what Abhinav Prabhu is doing?
Am I audible? Unknown error. Zoom has reported an unknown error. Can you hear me? I'm not sure whether I'm heard.
Yes, Prabhu, you are
Yes.
audible.
All right. Okay. Okay. Oh, where did I stop? Okay. 16. This is Kurmavatar. Once, both the atheists and the theists were engaged in producing nectar from the sea so that all of them could become deathless by drinking it. 8th canto. At that time, the Mandarachala hill was used as the churning rod and the shell of Lord Tortoise, the incarnation of Godhead, became the resting place, pivot of the hill in the seawater. Achyutanam Prabhu had a question.
Prabhu, text 15, third line, like in the English one, English, there is Navi Aropya. So this Navi, from there only this term Navy has originated. I was wondering.
Now is the original Sanskrit. Now, okay, now becomes Navi. Now means boat. Navi means in a boat or on a boat. One boat. 17. Dhanvantaram dvadashamam त्रयोदशममेव च apayayat
Your
surananyan
screen is
mohinya
not
mohayat
shared.
shriya. My screen is not shared. Okay.
चलिए आप होस्ट हो गए हैं अभी कुछ पढ़िए
धर्मात्मा को नेट का कुछ करिए प्रभु के लिए
कोई और स्क्रीन शेयर कर सकते हैं और प्रभु से वीडियो चालू कर सकते हैं, ऐसा कुछ होने से शायद ज्यादा नेट लग रहा है।
Try to share the screen also. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, let me try sharing.
So you can keep your video off. Maybe your network is low.
Trying it out. If it again creates trouble, then see, even in that case, the audio will come, the video will not be coming. But now everything, since everything is a misery, and keep disconnecting.
Prabhu, it is again hanging, lagging.
No. Video, you just stop video. Okay, can you hear me? Can everyone turn off your videos?
Much better, Prabhu.
Where is that? Let's just see what happens. Somebody's audio is unnecessarily on. Okay. I don't know whether the screen sharing is going to properly.
Screen share
I'll
is there.
assume that it is.
We are able to see.
This is magic for turn off people's videos. Okay. So in the form of Dhanvantari, Lord Vishnu brought the nectar, and in the form of Mohini, he had the Asuras. He had the Devas drink it actually. 18. Chaturdasham Narasimham Vidhrat Daityendra Murjitam Dadara Karjairura Verakam Katakrid Yatha. In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Narasimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane. "19. Panchadasham Vanakam Kritwagad Adhvaram Bale Padatrayam Yachamana Pratyaditsu Stripishtapam." In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana, Vamana, and visited the area of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the three planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land. So he wanted to regain the kingdom of the three planetary systems and give it to the Devas. Indra. Deva means Indra and company. Vamanakam Rupam. The Sridhar Swami has nicely explained what this expression Vamanakam means. Ultimately, it refers to the one who expels the pride of the evil souls. The Almighty God can bestow upon anyone the kingdom of the universe from a very small beginning. And similarly, He can take away the kingdom of the universe on the plea of begging a small piece of land. So when Krishna wants to take away something, we cannot stop it. And Krishna wants to give something, we cannot stop that also. Okay?
Prabhu, can you please say again the meaning of Vaman? One who?
Dushtana madam vamayati iti vamanakam rupam. Vamana means that one who causes others pride, the evil soul's pride to be expelled. Literally, it means is the one who makes them vomit out their pride, makes the evil people vomit out their pride. Okay. 20. Avatare Shodashame Pashyan Brahman Drukun Dripan Trisapta Kritva Kupito Nikshatrama Karon Mahim. In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord as Mrugapati annihilated the administrative class Kshatriyas 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class. This is Parashuram. The Kshatriyas, or the administrative class of men, are expected to rule the planet by the direction of the intelligent class of men, who give directions to the rulers in terms of the standard Shastras or the books of revealed knowledge. So this is the hierarchy. You have Shastra, and then you have the Brahmanas, and then you have the Kshatriyas. So the Brahmanas are supposed to follow the Shastra, the Kshatriyas are supposed to follow the Brahmanas and Shastra. The rulers carry on the administration according to that direction. Whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Kshatriyas or the administrative class against the orders of the learned and intelligent Brahmanas, the administrators are removed by force from the posts and arrangement is made for better administration. 21. Tatra sapta dashe jata satyavatyam parashara chakre veda taro shakha drishtva pumsolpamedhasaha. Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati by Parashara Muni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that the people in general were less intelligent. So it's simply out of his mercy that he did this. Originally, the Veda is one, but Srila Vyasadeva divided the original Veda into four, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. And then again, they were explained in different branches like the Puranas and the Mahabharata. Vedic language and the subject matter are very difficult for ordinary men. Very difficult for them to understand. They are understood by the highly intelligent and self-realized Brahmanas. 1 minute. 1 minute. But the present age of Kali is full of ignorant men. Even those who are born by a Brahmana father are in the present age no better than the Shudras or the women. The idea is that these people are simply impulsive. They are slaves of the 6 virtues. Women are generally impulsive. It is more difficult for them to progress towards Vairagya, Vidya, Bhakti. The twice-born men, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, are expected to undergo a cultural purificatory process known as samskaras. But because of the bad influence of the present age, the so-called members of the Brahmana and other high-order families are no longer highly cultured. They are called the Vijabandhus, or the friends and family members of the Christ born. But these Vijabandhus are classified amongst the Shudras and the women. Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas into various branches and sub-branches for the sake of the less intelligent classes called like Vijabandhu, Shudras and women. This is Vyasadeva's causeless mercy upon them, upon us. 22. Naradevattvamapanna surakkarya chikirshaya samudra nigrahadini chakre viranyatah param. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Rama. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. So he appeared like a king in the form of Raghava, the descendant of Raghu. So this is the 18th in this list. The personality of God, Sri Rama, assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods or the administrative personalities to maintain the order of the universe. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities, with the spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord. But puffed up by tiny success and material advancement, sometimes the godless materialists challenge the existence of God. Ravana was one of them, and he wanted to transport ordinary men to the planet of Indra, heaven, by material means. Without consideration of the necessary qualifications. He wanted a staircase to be built up, directly reaching the heavenly planet, so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet. He also wanted to perform other acts against the established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Ram, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife Sita. Of course, Lord Ram had come to chastise such atheists, answering the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravana, and the complete activity is a subject matter of the Ramayana. See, repeatedly, Prabhupada refers to the Asuras as atheists because they are not interested in devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. They are not interested in that kind of spiritual progress. Even slow spiritual progress, they are not interested in. Because Lord Ramachandra was the personality of Godhead, he exhibited superhuman activities which no human being, including the materially advanced Ravana, could perform. Lord Ramachandra prepared a royal road on the Indian Ocean with stones that floated on the water. Modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but it is not possible to bring in weightlessness anywhere and everywhere. But because weightlessness is the creation of the Lord by which he can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air, he made the stones even within this earth to be weightless and prepared a stone bridge on the sea without any supporting pillar. That is the display of the power of God. 23. एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णा वीति भुवो भगवान हरधरम. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, he removed the burden of the world. So he took birth with these names. The specific mention of the word Bhagavan in this text indicates that Balaram and Krishna are original forms of the Lord. This will be further explained later. Bhagavan. In this entire list, only for Balaram and Krishna, the word Bhagavan is being used. Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha, as we learned from the beginning of this chapter. He is directly the original personality of Godhead. And Balaram is the first plenary manifestation of the Lord. From Baladev, the first phalanx of plenary expansions, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna expands. Lord Sri Krishna is Vasudev, and Baladev is Sankarshana. 24. Tatah kalau sampravritte sammohaya suradvisha buddho namnan janasuta ikateshu bhavishyati. Then, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theists. Tikateshu Madhye, Gaya Pradeshe, in the province of Gaya. Lord Buddha, a powerful incarnation of the personality of Godhead, appeared in the province of Gaya, Bihar, as the son of Anjana, and he preached his own conception of non-violence and deprecated even the animal sacrifices sanctioned in the Vedas. At the time when Lord Buddha appeared, the people in general were atheistic and preferred animal flesh to anything else. On the plea of Vedic sacrifice, every place was practically turned into a slaughterhouse, and animal killing was indulged in unrestrictedly. Lord Buddha preached non-violence, taking pity on the poor animals. He preached that he did not believe in the tenets of the Vedas and stressed the adverse psychological effects incurred by animal killing. Less intelligent men of the age of Kali, who had no faith in God, followed his principles, and for the time being, they were trained in moral discipline and non-violence, the preliminary steps for proceeding further on the path of God realization. Because without moral discipline and non-violence, we cannot actually progress in Krishna consciousness. We cannot. There is no way one can proceed further. He deluded the atheists because such atheists who followed his principles did not believe in God but kept their absolute faith in Lord Buddha, who himself was the incarnation of God. Thus, the faithless people were made to believe in God in the form of Buddha. That was the mercy of Lord Buddha. He made the faithless faithful to him. Okay, there are two questions here. So was Ravana able to start the task of building the staircase? I do not know about it. It is not mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana, but it must have been mentioned in the Puranas. Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur notes that Ravana had that plan. I have read it in somewhere that where Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions this. Please clarify about Buddha. There are different Buddhas. There may be, but Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Okay, wait. What is the verse number? 1.3.24. Anjanasutah, Ajinasutashcheti, Pathadvayam. There are two readings here. Anjanasutah, but sometimes it also says Ajinasutah, son of Ajina. Baladev Vidyabhushan notes Gaya Pradesha Dharmaranya. Where is Dharmaranya? But Also trades. This is done from Targos edition. Madhvacharya, first of all, quotes from Brahmanda Purana. Oh, that comes here itself. Interesting information. Not Vipachibi, it's Vachibi, Ahimsa Vachibi. Vachibi. Who bewildered the Danavas in the form of a child. He stood on a street. Jinnah himself imagined that that child was his son. And then Lord Buddha, he bewildered Jinnah and others, all of whom were amshas of asuras. So in this way, the Supreme Lord, through terrible words, which promoted ahimsa, performed this activity. In this way, Lord Hari performed this activity. But more than that, there's another. So he notes that Buddha was one of the 10 incarnations. One also finds that Buddha and Kalki appear in the 10 incarnations in Sahitya Darpan. Also in Jayadev Goswami's description of the 10 incarnations. In the third part of Vishnu Purana, chapters 17 and 18, Buddha is referred to as Maya Moha. There is some detail about Buddha in Agni Puran, Vayu Puran, and Skanda Puran. In the first chapter of Amara Kosha, there is a specific mention of Buddha. And then there is a detailed description of Buddha in Lalita Vistara and other Buddhist literature. So from this it appears that this Buddha is the same as the Buddha of the Buddhists. The Buddhists also talk about several Buddhas. And those who are exceptionally realized, spiritually realized, they are considered to be Buddhas. Killing of animals before the advent of Lord Buddha was the most prominent feature of the society. People claim that these were Vedic sacrifices. When the Vedas are not accepted through the authoritative disciplic succession, the casual readers of the Vedas are misled by the flowery language of that system of knowledge. In the Bhagavad Gita, a comment has been made on such foolish scholars, avipaschitaha, the foolish scholars of Vedic literature, who do not care to receive the transcendental message through the transcendental realized sources of disciplic succession are sure to be bewildered. So if you accept Shastra, but you do not accept the Siddha Parampara, the Parampara, disciplic succession of those who perfectly follow Shastra, then certainly you will be bewildered. By them, the ritualistic ceremonies are considered to be all in all. They have no depth of knowledge. According to the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedasya Sarvairahameva Vedyaha, the whole system of the Vedas is to lead one gradually to the path of the Supreme Lord. The whole theme of Vedic literature is to know the Supreme Lord, the individual soul, the cosmic situation, and the relation between all these items. When the relation is known, the relative function begins, and as a result of such a function, the ultimate goal of life, going back to God, takes place in the easiest manner. Unfortunately, unauthorized scholars of the Vedas become captivated by the purificatory ceremonies only, and natural progress is thereby checked. To such bewildered persons of atheistic propensity, Lord Buddha is the emblem of theism. He therefore, first of all, wanted to check the habit of animal killing. The animal killers are dangerous elements on the path of going back to Godhead. There are two types of animal killers. The soul is also sometimes called the animal or the living being. Therefore, both the slaughter of animals and those who have lost their identity as souls are animal killers. Maharaj Parikshit said that only the animal killer cannot relish the transcendental message of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, if people are to be educated to the path of Godhead, they must be taught first and foremost emphasis. Stop the process of animal killing. End of emphasis in both senses mentioned above. Emphasis. It is nonsensical to say that animal killing has nothing to do with spiritual realization. End of emphasis. By this dangerous theory, many so-called sannyasis have sprung up by the grace of Kali Yuga who preach animal killing under the garb of the Vedas. In other words, if we don't follow the four regulative principles as noted in the scriptures, as presented and as taught by the acharyas, if we don't follow the four regulative principles, we cannot attain spiritual progress. Specifically, animal killing. The subject matter has already been discussed in the conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Maulana Chand Qazi Sahib. The animal sacrifice as stated in the Vedas is different from the unrestricted animal killing in the slaughterhouse. Because the Asuras, or the so-called scholars of Vedic literatures, put forward the evidence of animal killing in the Vedas, Lord Buddha superficially denied the authority of the Vedas. This rejection of the Vedas by Lord Buddha was adopted in order to save people from the vice of animal killing, as well as to save the poor animals from the slaughtering process of their big brothers who clamor for universal brotherhood, peace, justice, and equity. There is no justice when there is animal killing. There is no justice when there is animal killing. Lord Buddha wanted to stop it completely, and therefore his cult of Ahimsa was propagated not only in India, but also outside the country. Technically, Lord Buddha's philosophy is called atheistic because there is no acceptance of the Supreme Lord, and because that system of philosophy denied the authority of the Vedas. But that is an act of camouflage by the Lord. Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Godhead. As such, he is the original propounder of Vedic knowledge. He therefore cannot reject Vedic philosophy. But he rejected it outwardly because the Suradvusha, or the demons, who are always envious of the devotees of Godhead, tried to support cow killing or animal killing from the pages of the Vedas, and this is now being done by the modernized sannyasis. This is simply technical, and had it not been so, he would not have been so accepted as the incarnation of Godhead, nor would he have been worshipped in the transcendental songs of the poet Jayadeva, who is a Vaishnava Acharya. Lord Buddha preached the preliminary principles of the Vedas in a manner suitable for the time, and so also did Shankaracharya to establish the authority of the Vedas. Therefore, both Lord Buddha and Acharya Shankara paved the path of theism, and Vaishnava Acharyas, specifically Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, led the people on the path towards a realization of going back to Godhead. We are glad that people are taking interest in the non-violent movement of Lord Buddha, but will they take the matter very seriously and close the animal slaughterhouses altogether? If not, there is no meaning to the Ahimsa cult. Srimad Bhagavatam was composed just prior to the beginning of the age of Kali, about 5,000 years ago. And Lord Buddha appeared about 2,600 years ago. Therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Buddha is foretold. Such is the authority of this clear scripture. There are many such prophecies, and they are being fulfilled one after another. They will indicate the positive standing of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is emphasis, without any trace of mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfection, kind of emphasis, which are the four flaws of all conditioned souls. The liberated souls are above these flaws. Therefore, they can see and foretell things which are to take place on distant future dates. 25. Athasau yuga samkhyayam tasya prayeshu rajasu janita vishnu yashaso namna kalkir jagatpati. Thereafter, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasha. At this time, almost all the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. Here is another foretelling concerning the advent of Lord Kalki, the incarnation of Godhead. He is to appear at the conjunction of the two yugas, namely at the end of Kali Yuga and the beginning of Satya Yuga. The cycle of the four yugas, namely Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali, rotates like the calendar months. The present Kali Yuga lasts 432,000 years, out of which we have passed only 5,000 years after the battle of Kurukshetra and the end of the regime of King Parikshit. So there are 427,000 years balance yet to be finished. Therefore, at the end of this period, the incarnation of Kalki will take place, as foretold in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The name of his father, Vishnu Yasha, a learned Brahmana, and the village Shambhala are also mentioned. As above mentioned, all these foretellings will prove to be factual in chronological order. That is the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, there's a question here. Bhagavan word is used for Krishna Balaram. Can it not be used for all other categories, including Satya Vaishya of the Lord's incarnation? No, that's not the point. Elsewhere, you will find Bhagavan used for all of these incarnations. But in this particular list, you will find Bhagavan is used for Krishna Balaram. That emphasis indicates that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. 26. Avatara hyasankhya hare sattva nidhe vija yatha vida sinah ulya sarasasyu sahasrashaha. O Brahmanas, incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. Yes?
It is written that there are innumerable incarnations of the Lord. So, like waves in the ocean, right? So, but we hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come in the Kali Yuga, and after that, Buddha Kalki is going to come. But in between, there is no incarnations come. If there are innumerable incarnations,
there are innumerable incarnations doesn't mean at all points in time there are innumerable incarnations. That's not the point.
then
there are innumerable incarnations, and each has his own schedule. Each incarnation has its own schedule. That's all. That's the point. Overall, there are innumerable incarnations. Overall, there are innumerable incarnations.
Overall means?
There are not only 10 incarnations. There are innumerable incarnations. In every day of Brahma, there are so many incarnations. That's what it means. Okay?
Yes.
We'll see that. We'll see that. The list of incarnation. Okay, wait. 6. Anukta sarva sangraharthamaha avatara. Here he summarizes about all other incarnations. The list of incarnations of the personality of Godhead given here is not complete. It is only a partial view of all the incarnations. There are many others such as Sri Hayagriva, Hari, Hamsa, Krishnigarbha, Vibhu, Satyasena, Vaikuntha, Sarvabhauma, Vishaksena, Dharmasetu, Sudhama, Yogeshwara, Vidvan, and others of the bygone ages. The Prahlad Maharaj said in his prayer, 7th canto, my Lord, you manifest as many incarnations as there are species of life, namely the aquatics, the vegetables, the reptiles, the birds, the bees, the men, the demigods, etc., just for the maintenance of the faithful and the annihilation of the unfaithful. You advent yourself in this way in accordance with the necessity of the different yugas. In the Kali Yuga, you have incarnated God as a devotee. This incarnation of the Lord in the Kali Yuga is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many other places, both in the Bhagavatam and in other scriptures, in which the incarnation of the Lord as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explicitly mentioned. In the Brahma Samhita also, it is said indirectly that although there are many incarnations of the Lord, such as Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, and many others, the Lord himself sometimes incarnates in person. Lord Krishna and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are not therefore incarnations, but are the original source of all incarnations. This will be clearly explained in the next shlokas. So the Lord is the inexhaustible source for innumerable incarnations, which are not always mentioned. Which are not always mentioned means which are not always mentioned in lists of incarnations. But such incarnations are distinguished by specific extraordinary feats which are impossible to perform by any living being. That is the general test to identify an incarnation of the Lord directly and indirectly empowered. See, the incarnations are mentioned in scriptures, but in different places. When you come across a list of incarnations in Bhagavatam, for instance, here, or in the 2nd canto, you'll find another list, or you'll find in Narayana Kavacha prayer also, you'll find reference to certain incarnations. So certainly they cannot be dealing with all the innumerable incarnations. So specific ones are brought out in specific lists. But all the incarnations are mentioned somewhere in the scriptures. Some incarnations mentioned above are almost plenary portions. For instance, the Kumaras are empowered with transcendental knowledge. Sri Narada is empowered with devotional service. Maharaj Prithu is an empowered incarnation with executive function. The Matsya incarnation is directly a plenary portion. So the innumerable incarnations of the Lord are manifested all over the universes constantly, without cessation, as water flows constantly from the waterfalls. So they're all appearing in different places. They are appearing in different universes. So at all points in time, there is some incarnation, but in different universes, in different situations, circumstances. Okay, I should stop with this here. Where did I? Okay, so this is 26 stop. So the next starting point will be 27 actually. All right. Cover this. We'll try to fix this connection problem.